Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Grow Better. I am Jayveer and today I am delighted to be joined by Kamalpreet Kaur, a growth marketing leader who has helped startups scale through AEO, SEO and growth marketing strategy. Hello Kamalpreet, thank you so much for joining me today and it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Hi, Jayveer. Thank you so much for inviting me to share my knowledge from the field with your audience. I'm really happy to join you.
Could you please tell us about yourself?
Of course. So, over the last 5 years, my edge has always been growth.
Mm-hmm,
I've built two businesses of my own. One
mm-hmm,
was a wellness brand that got featured as one of the top 9 startups in India in 2019. And the other was a consulting business where I supported brands from 6 different markets and helped them grow their brands from scratch. It was mainly in consumer goods, nutraceutical, cosmeceutical space. But then
mm-hmm,
I moved to Berlin about 2 years ago, and since then, I've also been working with a lot of software as a service brands here. Um, Last, I worked with March Materials, which is a B2B marketplace for sustainable building materials. So I've
mm-hmm,
always been good at growing something from scratch. That's sort of my thing, and
mm-hmm,
really like understanding understanding the mindset of the customer, what they actually what is the kind of product they actually need, and building the product around them is something I'm really good at. um,
mm-hmm,
a big a big part of what I do is understanding what people are talking about a product or a competitor on the internet. I go deep into Reddit threads and I try to analyze sentiments. And then based on that, I make my decisions in marketing. Um, that's where my growth marketing side comes from. And recently, I started my own initiative in generative engine optimization called CAMS
mm-hmm,
Index, where I publicly, analyze these
mm-hmm,
brands, how they are doing on the LLM engines. And based on
mm-hmm,
what information I find, I either roast them or I applaud them. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
that's been my journey.
It's really interesting. And on a similar note, could you tell us about like how CAMS index you have like took approach to help March?
Yeah, of course. So I can tell you why I started it. It was not
Mm-hmm,
just because of March. It started like over almost like over a year and a half. That's when I started actually thinking or gravitating more towards generative engine optimization, because
mm-hmm,
that was the point I started hearing people around me saying that, hey, let me check ChatGPT. Let me search on
mm-hmm,
ChatGPT what it says. Or I just had a really nice conversation with ChatGPT about X topic. And that's when I thought, this is different. Like, um, if you also look at data today, close to
mm-hmm.
40% of people are now searching on LLM engines rather than Google. So the
Right.
shift is happening, and few years down the line, I would say that Google search is going to be something that people would rarely use. So
Mm-hmm,
that's when I started. I thought, you know what, let's dig deep into it. How do these AI engine actually recommend brands to you, and how do they work in the background? That's when it started. But I was, because this is something that's pretty new. These LLM engines also came into like
mm-hmm,
light about 2.5, 3 years ago. Um, and
mm-hmm.
so
Right.
I'm just exploring. I'm understanding how these work. It keeps changing, and based on that, I make decisions. And I also used whatever I've learned at
Mm-hmm,
March Materials or even at brands that I'm consulting, trying to be there on the platforms where LLM engines are searching and try to build a brand authority.
wow. And what
Yeah.
is this GEO like? What is this term, generative engine optimization, and why like brand is becoming such an important topic for brands today?
Of course. So generative, I know a lot of people do not know about it, but it's super important.
Mm-hmm.
Few people think that it's like a replacement for SEO, and I hear people on LinkedIn say that SEO is dead and so on.
Mm.
But it couldn't, like, it's completely different. It's like an extension of SEO, but
Right.
for AI search engines. So generative engine
Mm-hmm.
optimization is basically optimizing your brand so that these AI search engines recommend you. It's not about optimizing for the blue link clicks on Google. It's about how, when someone asks on ChatGPT, Gemini, or Perplexity about your brand, uh, about
Mm.
about the space your brand is in, uh, are
Mm-hmm.
you are you there in that list? Are you being
Mm.
recommended? Because I think ChatGPT has almost like 1 billion users already.
Right.
Gemini
Mm-hmm.
has around 900 million, and Perplexity, I get, like, I've seen data from different sources. Some say 45 million and some say 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
So you are basically, by being into generative engine optimization, or optimizing your brand for LLM engines, expanding your reach to these many people. So
Mm-hmm.
that is basically generative engine optimization. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And like, what are the first 2 to 3 steps anyone should take if they want to rank their website in these AI searches?
Of course. So in my previous audits, I found
Mm-hmm.
that out of the 900 something sources, of a very small test I ran, only 3% citations came from their brand's own website. But it's a good place to start. So go
Mm-hmm.
there, go to your website, write blog posts there. That's going
Okay.
to get you cited on these generative engines. Second
Mm.
is, one of the top sources that was always mentioned in most of my, I think in almost all of my audits, was Reddit. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to be there on Reddit. You have to find the relevant groups where people are talking about the space you are in. Just go
Mm.
there and try to comment there, and try to be there, try to answer people's question. It will most likely get you cited
Mm.
on on these LLM engines. Other than that, there is like this very basic setup that you can do is go on your website, and just on the footer, just add something called llms.txt file, where you
Mm-hmm.
would basically write everything about your brand, what you do, and so on, so that when any LLM engine crawls your website, they read that
Mm.
file first. So these are the first few steps. Other than that, you just uh, basically, you just go on these LLM engines, ask any question related to your brand space, and see who are getting recommended. What are the main keywords that are being
Mm.
used, right, to
Right. Right.
get your
Mm.
brand recommended? Try to inculcate them in your content across
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, Reddit, LinkedIn, and that's going to get you. That's basically the first few steps. Go to
Right.
Reddit, ask
Mm.
about your space in ChatGPT, add the LLMs.text, write blog posts, do
Mm.
this, and then see how it works, and then we can, after that,
Mm.
go to the advanced stages of GEO.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And building on that, based on your research, how do platforms like this ChatGPT, Perplexity, or Gemini actually decides like which brand to recommend?
Of course. So this is something that I've been studying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what this is my opinion based on the few audits that I've done, is that they usually recommend brands based on how famous you are on the internet, which means if you're
Mm-hmm.
present, if your digital PR is very strong, right? If you have talked
Okay.
about your brand a lot, if everybody else has also talked about your brand, these are
Mm.
the things. Based on these things, LLMs engines decide if they want to feature your brand in the recommendations. So that's basically, like, they also go through Reddit threads, what people are talking
Hmm.
about your brand. So these based on all of this, the LLM engines would decide which brand to recommend. And brands are also fighting for ranking on these LLM engines. For
Right.
example, if you go on ChatGPT and you ask best top 10 or recommend me the best CRM tools for,
Hmm.
I'm a startup, recommend me the best CRM tools. You would see that um, some brand is ranked at first and the other is ranked at 10th. It
Hmm.
might be based on how their visibility across the internet.
Right.
So brands are also fighting to get on to, like on the highest rank in these recommendations as well.
So on a similar note, if someone is started their business and they have like launched their product maybe, and they want to beat the competition and want to rank their website or product, they want to like increase the reach for their product. So what are the steps they
Yes.
can do? They should take.
Okay, so you've already started your business, you have a
Hmm.
website, and you
Hmm.
want to rank higher on these LLM engines.
Right.
First, do your research. Like,
Mm-hmm.
see what people are like. What kind of sources is ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini? Focus on these three first. Maybe
Uh-huh.
not Perplexity so much. Focus
Uh-huh.
on, if you cannot focus on all three, definitely focus on ChatGPT and Gemini. Research and
Okay.
see, uh, run maybe a list of 10 prompts that you think are relevant for your industry. And if you don't
Hmm.
even know, like if you're very confused on what prompts to run, maybe just go on Google Trends. Go on Google Trends,
Okay. Right.
Answer the Public, these kind of
Mm-hmm.
platforms. You can find a lot of keywords that might be used in your
Hmm.
industry, or maybe natural language prompts there. Make a list, run them on these engines, and see
Hmm.
what people are talking about, which brands are being cited on the top three, for example,
Hmm.
and research them and see, try to understand. This can be a little bit technical, but try to see on the back end what. Now I think ChatGPT also mentions the sources, right?
Right.
My
Right.
method is usually the retrieval method. I just go
Hmm.
and study the fan out queries, and I
Okay.
usually see what kind of keywords is the AI putting together in the back end to do the search.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the keywords that you're supposed to that you can mention on your website to expand your visibility. You can
Right.
do that. And there are these websites where you can also submit free articles. So
Right.
I think it's Newswire. I think there's a
Hmm.
website called
Medium is also
Newswire.
there.
Yeah, these Newswire actually gets cited the most by ChatGPT, but Medium
Okay.
is also a good platform. Just go there
Hmm.
and just search. Go to Google and search "Write for Us." Right.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
When you search that, you find websites where these publishers have
Hmm.
opened up the opportunity to for people to go and submit articles. So go there, write as much as you can about your brand, and submit
Hmm.
those articles. That basically is free PR for you. So
Right.
that can help you strengthen your digital PR. So these are
Hmm.
the kind of
Hmm.
steps that you need to take. And also, if you're on Instagram, LinkedIn, try to use those exact keywords that you
Hmm.
found
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
the fan out queries across your messaging in different social media platforms. That
Hmm.
is also going to help you cite or rank
Right.
a bit higher
Hmm.
on LLM engines.
Well, like this is really interesting and insightful key points. And talking more about CAMS index, like what is it? What is CAM index? Can you tell us about more?
Of course, Cam is like a short form of my name. A lot of my
Okay.
friends here also call me Cam. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, this came from an idea that a lot of people might not be aware of. How do we get our brands cited in these LLM engines? How do we rank higher? And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people also do not know about how this AI search traffic works, right? And
Mm-hmm.
why AI, and this becomes even more important because I read a lot of studies and they say that AI search traffic tends to convert from 4 times to up to 20 times higher compared to a normal
Wow.
search traffic,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
compared to organic search traffic. So that is more important, that is like, that makes this a really important topic. And
Mm-hmm.
so then I thought, you know what? Why don't I audit these brands who are like, my first audit was Profound, which is an AI search analytics platform, right? It helps you monitor your visibility across different platforms, right? But the thing is that these platforms really cost significantly higher, right? And and people are usually not sure at this point. I've found that
Right.
platforms like these have issues with adaptability, awareness, and stuff. And so I thought
Mm.
maybe this could be a way that I can share the knowledge with people out in the open, and they can learn from brands who are already doing good in this space. And maybe that will prompt them to use tools like this. And, you know, maybe there would be a founder, early stage founder, who would read my reports and try to
Mm.
learn and use all those strategies I've mentioned of what the brand is doing good or bad, and maybe that would help them bring more customers. So that was the only intent, sharing the knowledge that I have
Mm-hmm.
out with
Right.
with the community.
And like, how should marketer rethink their strategy as AI-powered search engine continues to evolve?
I think today my only advice would be stop focusing a lot on your website. You know,
Mm-hmm.
today marketers really focus a lot on optimizing their website, improving their website, thinking that this is going to bring them a lot of traffic. But that is far from truth. Because, like I said, in my audits, only 3% of the sources came from the brand's own website, and 97% came from other sites like Reddit or listicles, comparison articles. So try to think, try to think to expand your visibility outside the brand's website. That is the very first step.
Okay. Hmm.
Second
Right.
is keep analyzing from where your traffic is actually coming from. So if you go in Google Search Console, if you filter it to, maybe if you apply a filter to show all the prompts that are between 7 to 14 words. So usually a natural language prompt is usually between 7 to 14 words, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you go to Google Search Console, you're going to find a lot of such prompts, natural
Right.
language prompts that people might
Hmm.
have used to search your website. Try to use them everywhere. Try to address those problems that people are talking about on the internet. Go into those Reddit threads. Try to answer people's question there.
Hmm.
Basically, think outside your website is what
Right.
I'm saying. So if you want to
Hmm.
think outside the box and be a top authority in your space in AI
Hmm.
search, think outside your website is what I will say.
It's a great insight. And which traditional SEO practices still matters? Like this off-page or backlink thing still matters? Do we
Yes.
need to? Okay.
Yes, it does. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
GEO is an extension of SEO. SEO is not dead.
Right.
Um, right? So
Hmm.
I think off page SEO, backlinks still matter because
Hmm.
those can help you in both SEO and GEO. They can get you cited on these AI engines. So it still matters.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you were advising a B2B SaaS startup today, what practical steps would you recommend to improve their AI visibility?
Okay. I would say it really depends. I would first, of course, do an audit, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
would see what is their position in the ranking, what is their mention rate, right? And based on that, what I would do is I say it again and again, I will strengthen their digital PR,
Okay.
because today's LLM engine, today's AI search mention rate, or being a
Mm-hmm.
top authority on AI search, really depends on the mention rate. So, what I always do is improve the mention rate, right? And I would
Mm,
also look through their analytics, look through Google Search Console, see what kind of words have people put together and searched that led them to the website. And I would use those combination of words, and I will
mm,
write blog posts. I will write digital. I will submit these PR articles around those
mm,
topics
mm,
that people have searched. I will make Instagram content around those exact questions, because
mm.
Instagram also gets cited in LLM engines. So I will
Right.
try to improve the authority of the brand across the internet
Mm, mm, mm,
by expanding their visibility. And then I will, uh, you know, 3 months, 4 months down the line, because when you're doing content marketing, it only gives you result. It takes at least 3 to 6 months to give you
mm,
the kind of result or any kind of reliable numbers based on which you can make decisions. So once that is done, I will do another audit and I will see if we can expand and do more, like to be
mm,
on more engines, to do more backlinking, or if the brand needs to be on certain podcasts that are being recommended, that are being
mm,
cited by LLM engines. So I will decide
mm,
that. And based on that, I will try to expand the business. It's all about visibility. So
mm.
you have to
Right.
do as much as you can to expand your
Mm.
visibility.
And there is one more term, this called AEO. So what is the difference between this AEO and GEO?
It's a very common confusion. So
Mm,
generative engine optimization, like I said, is being present in on all these LLM engines, right?
mm-hmm,
Answer
mm-hmm,
engine optimization, I can explain with an example, is
mm-hmm.
today when you search on Google, you get the top thing that you see on the
Right.
page is an AI search
Mm,
overview, right?
right.
That is answer search
Mm,
optimization.
mm, mm,
So, search engines who have their own LLM engines, when you search about a specific topic, shows you an AI generated answer, saves you the effort to try to
mm,
go
mm,
through
mm,
many resources and shows it to you on top. So, that is
mm.
basically answer search optimization. So it's
Okay.
connected to search engines.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And like, what are the AI tools one growth marketer or SEO or EO or GEO professional must know or they should have in their bucket list? What are the AI tools they should use on a daily basis to make their work easy?
Right. My top recommendation is Claude, of course,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because I run a lot of automations there. So when I run my GEO audits, I
mm-hmm,
use Claude extension in Chrome to run different audits across different engines. That's the very first. Claude design, of course, to make your creatives, to make really good landing pages, right? Other than that,
mm-hmm.
Profound is a good tool if you want
Okay.
to analyze your AI search
Mm-hmm,
analytics, although they are not performing like they recently got a 73, I think it
mm-hmm.
was 73 score in my audit, but
Okay.
they I would say they're still doing good in AI search.
Mm-hmm,
So Profound is good. It can help you see how your brand is doing across these engines. And if you
mm-hmm,
don't want to pay for Profound, then you do these audits manually.
mm-hmm.
Other than that, I would say there's this tool called Uber Suggest.
Right.
It's a free tool. It's
Mm-hmm.
premium, and they have this. I think Answer the Public is there. I think it is
Yes,
their
yes.
the extension of
Mm-hmm.
their tool.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting. Although the
Mm-hmm.
subscription for me personally is not worth it. I could do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that they do manually and
Mm-hmm.
um, get the answers I'm looking for. But if you're starting out, just go there, go to answer the public, and use Uber Suggest to
Hmm.
analyze any brand or your brand, right? And to get all
Right.
the data about your visibility. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any tool for content writing or like making a content?
Okay, I would again here recommend Claude, but there's a
Okay.
caveat to it.
Hmm.
Um, I have seen this AI slop content across LinkedIn a lot, and
Right.
Claude cannot help you write human content. You have
Hmm.
my recommendation is build a skill and try to explain the kind of content, the the kind of voice you want to write your content in, right?
Right.
For example, um, there are many structures that in my skill I've banned. For example, trying to explain something what it is and then saying what it is not. Or I think
Hmm.
it's the opposite. Trying to say something what it is not and then proceeding to explain what it is. For example, generative engine optimization is not just another SEO strategy, but it is
Right.
an extension to SEO. So, this kind of
Hmm.
content I find is really AI slop. Let me explain why. Or I was surprised, or there are so many banned phrases. Like, if you want
Hmm.
the skill, just let me know. I've also written posts around anti AI slop content. So, make
Hmm.
sure that you've added those banned structures, banned phrases in your skill,
Okay.
and just explain the kind of voice you want to write in, right?
Hmm.
And that makes easier for me to write content. Now
Hmm.
my content
Right.
delivery time is comparatively faster than before, because
Hmm.
earlier I used to do a lot of iterations in the content to,
Hmm.
because it used to always give me really shitty output, but
Hmm.
then building a skill around it really helped.
And what professional should know starting or who wants to stay ahead in this AI era?
What I usually do is I connect with the people who are I try to connect with people who are doing the best in the specific area, like follow them
Hmm.
and try to consume their content. Is That's how, like, I
Right.
spent some time reading through these
Hmm.
LinkedIn posts that people in who are top authority in this area post. For example, I read, there's this company called Peak AI, right?
Okay.
And they
Hmm.
are like really cool. They're also like, I would say they do the similar things that Profound does. But there's a specific person that I follow from the company. His name is Malta,
Hmm.
and he's the CMO of PKI, and he really writes. He makes really good content about GEO. So if you don't know
Okay.
about
Hmm.
GEO, yeah,
Sure.
follow him.
Hmm.
He writes things about GEO, what you should do, and he started
Hmm.
recently a series called GEO 101, and the way he writes content is also good. So it's pretty engaging. So follow him. And similarly, if you want to be top on top of whatever subfield it is in
Hmm.
marketing, try to
Hmm.
find who is the top um, person in the field, right?
Right.
And then just follow them and read their content. I would
Hmm.
say in today's AI era, books might be a little bit, maybe, I don't know, it's a controversial statement.
Hmm.
Maybe books may be a
Hmm.
little bit too outdated to
Right.
read.
Hmm.
We can consume content faster these days
Hmm.
through LinkedIn. Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Well, thank you so much, Kamalpreet, for your sharing your valuable
of
insights
course.
and experience today. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm sure audience will learn and get a valuable insights from this conversation. To everyone watching this video, thank you for joining us today, and see you in the next conversation. Thank you so much, Kamalpreet.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.